If you are watching this, I am not dead. I finally found the time to dedicate to talking to y'all about what has transpired in my life since the last video I uploaded back in August of 2024. I promised one subscriber that I'd make this video, so no better time than now. Obviously, many of you have been left in the dark with where I've been and what's been going on. If you haven't been following me on the little social media I have, that's understandable. But I'm going to recap where my life has gone since the last update video from 2 years ago. So I'd say immediately after, nothing much had changed. I was still creating some content, I was still looking for a job, and it got to a point around that same month in August where I wasn't in the best position to be in, and my priorities needed to go somewhere. I needed another job, and I needed to prepare for another life event that was coming my way in the near future. I had been planning to move out of my father's house for a good majority of 2024. I arranged with some friends of mine to rent a house not far away from what I used to call home, and we made that happen. Come November, I moved in and got somewhat settled, and I also found a secondary job just before Thanksgiving, and it seemed I was on the up and up with things. Now, the whole moving in process took a lot of funds for me to achieve. I took out some big money to make it so. The guys helped out as well where it was fair, but the main point was it was time for me to move on, and I was making that happen for myself. As much as I hated to leave what I called a home for most of my life and empty the shelves that used to hold my pride and joy, it was time to go and live a life of my own. At least that was the thought process of the time. Now, I didn't have everything I really needed to come back from my stint of absence at the time either. My plan was to save and invest in new shelving and furniture, really display my collection with the space I was able to have at the shared house. I certainly didn't have the money right away. Rent, food, and other priorities had to come first, but over time I started to acquire new shelving, ones that I could choose for myself, and I felt so happy to get to build them and make my studio or office feel like something I could be proud of. There was still plenty to go, but I got to the point where I felt I could slowly get back into creating content again. Did a little filming here and there, even got to planning a year-end update for 2024 to explain everything here, but it wasn't long until things took a turn. The situation with my friends got to a point where I needed to exit the living arrangement. It had been close to 5 months by that point, and it wasn't working out. And by March 2025, my life became hell. I got approval by the rental company to be taken off the lease, and I moved all of my shit out of that house in 3 days with the help of my mom, who I'm eternally grateful to. She went through that hell with me, and we came out the other side. A little worse for wear, but we managed. My dad allowed me to come back to the house, but with the caveat being I couldn't bring my collection back for the most part. I can't set it up as if I was living there. Those were his words. He's planning to sell the house in the next couple of years, which I can understand. He's getting older, and since everybody in my family has pretty much left, he's downsizing himself, so in short, all of my stuff had to go into storage in a safe location for the time being. Everything I've worked for thus far in my life, put into one unit. Kinda makes you sad if you think about it too much. Now, obviously, this whole turn of events in March really put a dent in creating content. My collection was put away, and I was frustrated overall by my entire predicament. I could have half-assed it or pivoted to some easier to make content, but that isn't me. I want to go above and beyond for anyone that watches my videos, no matter the channel. But I was put in a position where I couldn't do it for myself. And that really put me in a downward spiral. I would say before and after I moved out of my living arrangement, I was going through a lot of emotions. I was depressed to a severe degree, I would say to the point that I had contemplated unaliving myself. I don't know why, but it's the truth. I had these sorts of issues before, back in my younger days. I wouldn't say I had the worst childhood. I'm certainly blessed with the life I have. But I had problems, and for whatever reason, they just came back to the forefront of my mind. After moving out, my mental health really took a toll. I was angry, I felt nothing some days. It affected my job one day that I asked to go home as I couldn't do what was expected of me. And I honestly thought that would be the end of it. End of me. I was upset with myself. Upset with where I was, that my degree seemed to be a waste of time, that I wasn't able to sustain myself. I just kept telling myself I was less than nothing, and believed it for way too long. It was getting so bad that it affected my output for content creation for the arcade. I got friends and family concerned about me, which is probably the best thing to come out of my ordeal, as it made me realize I still got a hell of a support group. I hated that many of them had to see me at my lowest point, but they reassured me that things will get better, and they did. We'll get there in a second. But I just want to thank those that talked with me through my darkest times and made me see the errors of my thought process. There's many names to go through, but on the friends side, Dan, Jody, Dave Shapiro, Dave Varley, Boss Mike from the arcade, Daniel, Jared, Megan, Ozzy, my best friend Elmo, still my best friend since elementary. I hope we can see each other again soon. And then on my family side of things, Karen, cousin Annie, cousin Nathan, Uncle Tommy, and most of all, my mom. Most importantly, my mother. She's helped me get through what I consider to be the absolute worst part of my life thus far, and I can't thank her or any of the others enough for being there for me when I needed it most. Now, while I'm in a better mindset, that didn't mean my dilemmas were over. I was in a position where I couldn't create the content I wanted to make for myself. I needed to find a place to do such. But notice how I'm saying this in the past tense? I found a new job that I've been enjoying. It's a full-time position with better pay. I started it properly in late June of 2025, and I hope it's a job that'll keep me for a long time to come. I appreciate the job I left for keeping me afloat, but they unfortunately didn't give me enough hours at times, which didn't help my mental state, but it also gave me more time to look for a job, and that's where we are now. I was also put in a position where I didn't have access to healthcare for a spell. I aged out of my dad's plan, but I found some affordable healthcare that was slightly cheaper than the healthcare plan provided by my job, so I'm glad to have that situated. It's also interesting to have a 401k. I certainly needed the healthcare near the end of 2025, for back in October, I suffered through some sort of extreme sickness. Best way I could describe it was stomach pain, like an ulcer, I suppose, and it was probably the most extreme pain I had ever felt. And by the way, I had a kidney stone 2 years ago. Whatever this was, even worse. It was the first time I had to call 911 as I started to sweat and have shortness of breath, but after 30 minutes it just went away. So, I avoided the ambulance bill. Over the next few days, I went to urgent care and other appointments. Nobody was quite sure what I had. It wasn't gallbladder stones, it wasn't kidney stones. I got some medication as a precautionary, but I'm okay now. But that certainly set back my comeback. I also suffered from a minute cold at the end of the year to the beginning of this year. Mostly left me with a runny nose. That's why this video didn't come out on New Year's Eve. Another thing that's gotten me down, least as of late, was while I've been away, some of the people I follow, a couple of them acquaintances, either made some life-altering decisions or lost their lives altogether. I was not prepared for 3 people that I knew at varying levels dying in the span of 4 months. And I'd like to pay my respects to them now, as I may never get another chance to do so again. So I'd like to share a moment of silence for Billy from the Game Chasers, Adam the Woo, and Cody Curtis, a coworker at the arcade, recently passed away from a hydroplaning accident. That hit me harder than I thought it would. I wish I had said something at the funeral. I might have not been the best to represent the arcade, but he was very much a mainstay and part of the arcade family through and through. I used to see him all the time working on pinball machines. I'd come in to make video content, and he'd always ask, "What are you doing here?" without fail. and now it isn't going to happen again. It's the little things you miss, but at least there's a memory. That's what I'm going to be left with when I found out two of my favorite YouTubers were retiring this year too. The Gaming Historian and Chilled Chaos. Not kidding when I say they are my top two that I watch religiously when they make content. They both recently announced they're moving on to other projects, and it sucks to hear, but their shared reasoning stands. Both have been doing this for quite some time and are ready to try or do other things that they find more fulfilling than what they have been known for. So to Norm, I say thank you for being the biggest inspiration for my content creation, and the same goes for Anthony for introducing me virtually to so many great creators, games, and memories over the years. I never got to meet you, but I'll hopefully be supporting you in whatever you do next. And what neither of them realize is that they inadvertently lit a fire under my ass. So now we're back here in the present to what I'm sure y'all have been asking. When is Jacobians coming back? The short answer is sooner than you think. While 2025 was a hectic year for me all around, as well as the first half of 2026, in my spare time, I've been trying to build something back up and... well, here's a sneak peek. Let's lower this down. I've slowly but surely been able to display my collection again. My bedroom is about 80% complete along with my studio. I'll show you a closer look of it all in a future video. Speaking of, I've been trying to formulate my plan for a comeback since 2024, pushed it back due to moving and sickness. This is my 5th and final revision, and I'm hoping it's going to be the charm. While I've been gone for so long means I had plenty of content left to do, and I'm not one to leave something unfinished or skip over projects in my timeline. So the plan is starting tomorrow, I will be catching up and picking up right where I left off. At the start of July, I began working rigorously on making videos, specifically quick views, current calamities, game reviews, and the season finale of WrestleBound, all videos that should have seen the light of day ages ago. I have a schedule in place and a lot of time to get ahead, and if everything goes right, you'll be able to enjoy a healthy slew of daily content, day by day, starting now till almost the end of the year. Not gonna try and rush anything either. That's why I'm giving myself a head start to stay ahead of content, cause I'm gonna need it. And I'm hoping that y'all will hold me accountable for it too. I'm also going to be expanding my social media presence. As much as I disliked the idea in the past, it's going to be vital to my success, so I made some new accounts. I'm still on Facebook for those who still do that, but I also opened new accounts on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, and hopefully Divine when it goes public or when I get a code to get in. I'm not going to do much with them initially, but I plan to post some original content in the future. For now, I'm going to focus on daily updates to keep everyone updated on progress, and if I miss a day, I hope y'all will be on my ass about it. Any day I miss is a wasted day, and I'm not going to waste any more days on accomplishing a dream. The last thing I need to do is thank all of you who stuck with me all this time while I was gone. Some of you subscribed during this time frame when I was away, which is shocking to me. I guess I did something right after 10 years of being on this platform, so I can't really thank y'all enough. Whether you've been with me since the beginning, somewhere in the middle, or recently found me through someone else's content or the Starfighters content, thank you for reminding me that my voice on the internet still matters. I'm slowly getting back to developing more content for Starfighters Arcade. You can find me over there too. I'm also assisting the My Retro Life channel in my own little ways as Tyler continues to chase the full-time dream too. In the meantime, as I work on catching up on content, I'm also preparing for the future, as I'm looking forward to bringing another season of AC reviews back, as well as another series that I've been wanting to do for years. But I'll tell you about that in good time. And that's pretty much it. Sorry I've been gone for so long. Life just seemed to work out that way. But I'll be back soon enough. And I definitely don't want that Princess Peach CC defining my content for another year. God, I hated that game. But anyways, thanks again everybody. I feel like myself again. And I will see you guys in the near future.